All right, strap in, everyone, because today we are diving deep into a topic that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's getting real fast. Sex robots. And what they might mean for the future of intimacy.
Yeah, the future of intimacy.
We've got a really fascinating mix of YouTube videos to unpack for this one.
Oh, cool.
Everything from, like, tech reviews, channels like VCE and Pro Robots, to, like, social commentary, powerful JRE.
Oh, yeah.
We've even got some really insightful interviews with experts from places like Artificial Science and Documentaries Unlimited.
Okay.
Our mission, if you want to call it that, is to explore not just how these robots actually work, like the nuts and bolts, but also, to really grapple with some of the huge ethical and social questions that they're bringing up.
For sure, yeah.
So, are you ready to explore a future where robots could be our intimate companions?
It's interesting, right? Because while the idea itself, might sound like something out of the Jetsons, the tech is already very advanced.
Yeah.
And the implications are something we need to start thinking about, like, now, not later.
Absolutely. And it's crazy to see how far things have come already. I mean, we've gone from those very early models, basically a silicone head on a stick. If you've ever seen those, looking back, almost comical, to the robots today, which are very sophisticated.
Oh, yeah. That evolution has been shockingly fast.
Yeah.
Like, if you take a company like Realbotics, they make the Harmony model.
Right.
Not only can you customize how she looks,
Wow.
you can actually tailor, like, her personality traits.
Oh, wow.
And even her voice.
It's like you're building your perfect partner, but from scratch.
Yeah.
But it's the AI part of it that really, to me, is mind-blowing. Like the fact that Harmony can have conversations with you, learn what you like and don't like, even respond, emotionally. It's like next level.
It is next level. And that's part of what's really driving, the boom in this industry. They say that during the pandemic, sales of sex robots increased something like 75%.
Wow.
And what's interesting is that surge wasn't just coming from, what you might expect.
Yeah.
We saw people who were struggling with, like, isolation and loneliness.
Right. Yeah.
A real desire to connect, even if it's with a machine.
That makes you wonder, are these robots more than just a way to, could they offer, like, real companionship?
Yeah, and some sources actually argue that they could.
Okay.
That they could be a real solution for loneliness.
Right.
Especially for people who might find traditional relationships challenging.
Interesting.
Like, think about people with social anxiety or even, certain disabilities. A sex robot could give them a safe space to explore intimacy.
Yeah.
Without that judgment or pressure.
Yeah, I've even heard of, like, therapists looking into potential therapeutic applications for them, right?
Yep.
But obviously, it's not always so simple. I mean, we saw that in China. Remember that app that rented out female dolls? Oh, yeah.
That got shut down almost immediately.
Yeah.
Right? There are some really deeply rooted, I think, anxieties around this technology.
For sure. And that's a good example of how, like, public perception and regulation, we're only just starting to figure all that out.
Yeah.
And then it brings up these questions about objectification.
Right.
Are we just replacing human interaction with, like, these programmed responses?
Yeah.
And, like, further pushing these harmful stereotypes about relationships?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
On Powerful JRE, the guest had this wild take that robots are going to lead to, like, the extinction of humanity.
Whoa.
Joe Rogan, though, he seemed more worried about, like, how relying on robots might mess with our ability to, develop real-life social skills.
Right.
Which, I mean, it makes sense.
Both of those perspectives, I think, they're extreme, but they point to a broader, like, anxiety about the tech.
Yeah. And the truth is, we're still just figuring out, like, all these ethical and social implications.
Yeah.
There's a huge stigma around it, Yeah.
You
have a sense of fear, right?
Right.
Remember that company that went under because they were getting harassed constantly?
Oh, right. Yeah.
We're clearly a long way from this being, like, widely accepted.
Okay, so then the big question is, are we headed towards a future where robots actually replace human intimacy? Or is this going to force us to, like, redefine what intimacy even means?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Some sources, they predict, more isolation, like a retreat from human connection.
Okay.
But others, they think that, like, exploring those desires and needs with a robot in a way where there's no judgment,
right,
that could actually lead to stronger relationships with actual people.
Interesting. It's almost like all that data that's coming out of Ashley Madison, the infidelity website.
Right, right.
That data is really giving us this deeper understanding of how complex human desire is.
It is, yeah.
And maybe it could help us figure out how we approach relationships in the future.
Right.
Whether that's with robots or not.
Exactly. It's not like black and white.
Yeah.
People might use robots to explore desires that they're like uncomfortable talking about with their partner.
Right.
And then that could lead to like more honesty in their real life relationships.
Yeah. Okay. But then that brings up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
Like, how does this change, how we view fidelity? Mm-hmm. Where do you even draw the line anymore?
It's complicated for sure. Like the traditional boundaries of relationships are already being challenged in the digital age.
Right.
And sex robots just add this whole other layer of complexity on top of it.
Right. And even the idea of consent, it gets really weird when you start talking about AI.
Right.
Remember that story about Samantha?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The sex robot that was programmed to say no? That blew my mind. A robot standing up for itself.
It's wild.
It makes you really question our own assumptions about consent and even agency when you're dealing with a machine.
It's true, yeah.
It's crazy.
That whole debate is only going to get more intense, as AI gets better and better.
Oh, absolutely.
We're in totally uncharted territory here.
Yeah.
This new era of AI companionship,
right.
blurring the lines between what's a machine and what's a human.
Yeah.
It's exciting and honestly a little bit unsettling.
So we've got these rapid technological advancements and some potential benefits, but also this whole Pandora's box of ethical and social dilemmas to unpack.
For sure.
Where do we even start?
It really strikes me that, we're starting to see these robots as more than just really high-tech toys.
Right.
We're moving into a place where AI companionship is becoming actually real.
Yeah.
It's blurring the lines between machine and human in ways that I don't think anyone really saw coming.
It is we're stepping into a whole new world, and the ethical stuff is it's mind-boggling.
It is.
One thing that really stood out to me in the research was this idea of robots developing their own wants and desires.
Right.
It sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It does.
But could that really happen?
It might seem far-fetched, but think about how fast AI is developing.
Right.
We already have algorithms that can learn, adapt, even display what we would think of as emotions.
Okay.
So it's not that crazy to imagine a future where, robots could have preferences or even make choices that go against how they were programmed.
So we're talking about robots having a sense of autonomy?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
That raises some serious questions about how we treat them.
It does.
Do they deserve a certain level of respect? Could we even think about their feelings?
It's a deep thought, right?
It is.
It challenges everything we think about what it means to be human,
right.
Especially in a world where machines are getting smarter and smarter all the time.
Right.
And it forces us to think about, all this legal gray area around the tech.
Oh, right. The legal stuff is a total minefield.
It is.
Rights, ownership, regulation, it's all brand new.
Exactly.
Our sources barely even scratch the surface.
Uh-huh.
Who's responsible if a sex robot causes harm?
Right.
The owner, the person who made it, the programmer.
Yeah, we don't have any laws to deal with this yet.
Right.
And then what about the robots themselves?
Yeah.
Could they have any legal rights?
Wow.
Could they be victims of abuse?
Yeah.
These questions are going to become really important as this stuff gets more advanced.
Yeah, and we can't forget about human sex workers either.
Oh, right.
Could robots end up replacing them completely?
That's a big question with economic and ethical sides, right?
Yeah.
Some people think robots could be a safer option for both the workers and the clients.
Right. Less risky.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then it could also mean that a whole new group of people are being exploited.
Right. The people making the robots.
Yeah, the people designing and building them, maintaining them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always the risk of robots, making those harmful power dynamics even worse.
Right.
Pushing vulnerable people further to the margins.
It's crazy to think how far we've come,
Yeah.
We went from these basic silicone dolls to robots that could have rights and desires.
They're mind-blowing.
It is. It really is. And it's happening so fast.
I know, right?
So where does all this leave us in terms of the future of intimacy?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it?
It is.
Are we at this crossroads where we either embrace the tech and, all the ways it could change how we connect with each other?
Yeah.
Or do we resist it and just hold on tight to how we've always thought about relationships?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I think both of those are possibilities.
Right.
But one thing's for sure, things are changing. Technology is like completely reshaping how we see the world, how we see ourselves, and even our most intimate relationships.
Right.
It's a whole new world,
Yeah.
And that's both exciting and scary.
It's a time of so much uncertainty, but it's also a time of huge opportunity.
That's true.
We have the chance to really shape the future of intimacy, redefine what it even means to connect with someone.
Yeah.
Whether it's a human or a machine.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is.
But it's also really empowering.
It is.
We get to choose what kind of future we want. One where technology helps us and makes us more human.
Yeah.
Or one where we basically become slaves to our own creations.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
And it takes us right back to the heart of this whole deep dive. What does it mean to be human when artificial companionship is becoming more and more real?
It makes us question everything we thought we knew about love, connection, even what it means to be alive. There aren't any easy answers.
No.
But it's a journey we're all on together.
Right. That's a great point to kind of wrap up this part of our conversation.
Okay.
We covered a lot.
We did.
From how sex robots have evolved to all these ethical and social questions they bring up. But this is just the beginning.
Right.
There's still so much more to explore,
Absolutely.
as we all move forward. Wow, we've really gone deep on this one.
Yeah, we have.
From the rise of these super sophisticated machines to the good, the bad, the creepy, uncanny valley vibes, and then all the ethical questions about AI and companionship. It's clear that sex robots are making us rethink what intimacy even means.
Yes, they are.
But I keep coming back to this one question.
Okay.
What does all this tell us about us? About humans and our need to connect with each other?
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
This isn't just about robots, it's about us. It's like we're holding up this mirror and it's reflecting our own desires, anxieties, maybe even our fears about love and intimacy.
I mean, one thing that really hit me was the customization thing.
Yeah.
You can literally design your perfect partner.
You can, yeah.
It makes you wonder, what does that say about our expectations in relationships?
Yeah.
Are we setting ourselves up for failure, trying to find this, perfect person?
Right. Or are we just, it's an interesting question about attraction, right?
Yeah.
Are we really attracted to perfection? Or is it those little imperfections, the quirks, that really make us click with someone?
And then there's this whole control thing, right?
Right.
With a robot, you're in charge.
Yeah.
You decide how it all goes down.
Yeah.
It's like this fantasy of having ultimate power.
Yeah.
But is that really what love is about?
I don't know. It's tempting to think we want control, but I think real intimacy in these vulnerability, letting go, accepting the other person for who they are.
Yeah, that's where the magic happens, the connection.
Exactly.
I keep thinking about Samantha,
Oh, yeah.
The robot that was programmed to say no.
I know, right?
Mind-blowing.
It is.
A robot setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It makes you question, everything we think about consent and free will, even when it's just a machine.
It's a great example of how this tech can really challenge our ideas about ethics, right?
Totally.
As robots get more and more advanced,
right,
we need new ways of thinking about their place in our world.
Yeah.
And our responsibility towards them.
So where do we go from here?
I don't know.
This whole conversation has left me with more questions than answers.
I think that's kind of the point of a deep dive, right?
I guess so.
It means we're really digging into something complex, something that's always changing.
Yeah.
The important thing is to stay curious,
Yeah.
Stay informed. Keep having these conversations.
Right.
Open, honest conversations about what this all means, ethically and socially.
Right. We can't just ignore it and hope it goes away.
Exactly. We have to think critically about the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And approach this new world of AI, with curiosity, but also with caution.
The future of intimacy is being written right now.
It is.
And we all have a part in it.
We do.
Well said. So to everyone listening out there, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
What do you think the future of intimacy looks like in a world with sex robots? What really stuck with you from our conversation? This deep dive is far from over, and we want to hear from you.
We do.
Thanks for joining us as we explore the future of intimacy.